Hey guys, came from 15, back it up with another video for you guys, back with another episode review for you, and oh my gosh! Well. I wonder if the haters are mad. Was this the reason why the people hated the show? Now, funny enough, you know, it's hilarious when the post comes out that season 4 is getting adapted and season 4 is going to be the final season, right? And it's funny how, I saw this funny tweet. Somebody said Attack on Titans ending, for the manga, people hated it. The anime gave their ending and people ended up liking it. My Hero Academia's manga ending was people in the manga thought it was bad. The anime comes out, people thought it was good, and then they ended off by saying Oshi no Ko had a terrible ending to its manga. And guess what? When the anime comes, it's gonna be still bad. You know, I love the fact that, you know, these people who are on social media are religiously and continuing to say that it doesn't matter why, it doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter what they do, it doesn't matter. The ending to Oshi no Ko will still be dog shit and people will agree. Now again, this is my stance. I've enjoyed everything I've seen out of Oshi no Ko. I've not seen anything that makes it to where it will completely flip my script and make me question, okay, all right, no, this is trash. Now, funny enough, at this point in time, or when the manga was still doing its thing, I did remember seeing, clips of well, not clips. I remember seeing, the image when Ruby, we saw in this episode, she basically walking behind Aqua, who's looking outside, saying, "Sensei, I'm 16 now." I remember seeing that image all over social media when the manga was coming out, right? And I think this is the moment when I saw most people started to sour on Oshi no Ko, because I think this was the moment, like, I think when that moment came out, it was only season 1 of Oshi no Ko at the time. And I remember seeing that image of Ruby and everything, and I'm just like, oh, okay. And then because people react in the moment, they were thinking, oh, frick, they're doing the incest story. Great. And I find it to be absolutely hilarious, bro. One image, and people are just like, oh my goodness, here we go. Now we see what the author is doing. He's becoming a trash dude, which it's absolutely hilarious, right? And then I'm also seeing posts saying like, Jesus, Kaguya-sama, Love is War, who's done by the same author of Oshi no Ko, they're gonna do a different ending, or they're gonna have their own original ending for the anime, but this guy will probably just have it to where the Oshi no Ko series is adapted word for word, one for one, and it's gonna still be the trash ending. It's absolutely hilarious how, these people who have read the manga have completely just trashed on the ending, and yet most of the anime community who's only watched Oshi no Ko through the anime so far has basically kind of said, like, dude, I don't know what these guys are talking about. I've been enjoying Oshi no Ko. And I still to this day, I might be one of the minority people in the Oshi no Ko fandom that will watch season 4, and by the time season 4 is done airing and the series is over, I'll probably be the one, tiny person in the minority of people that will say Oshi no Ko's ending was actually a solid ending. It makes sense. Why the hell? Again, I don't know I don't know what happens or what's gonna happen in season 4. I don't know what apparently this big moment or this big thing that's gonna happen that just made it to where, oh great, the Oshinoko is just trash now. It's trash. Maybe it has something to do with the revelation about Maybe it has something to do with Aqua. Maybe it has something to do with Ruby. I don't know. I personally think it has something to do with the shipping aspect because toxic people are just bad. And they think everything's bad. But, let's not see how this is going to play out. We're just going to trash it all over. And again, the manga fans who've already read the manga are going to already have their preconceived thoughts because reading it in week-to-week fashion where they were thinking, oh, we're going to get this ending, we're going to get this, is how the story's going to end, and they don't get what they want, guess what? They're going to hate it. So, let's not have it to where let's not have it to where the anime comes out and then I start seeing people on social media saying, what the hell the manga fans crying about? The ending was fine. It's the exact same thing that happened with My Hero Academia. Everybody hated the manga ending, or people who read the manga hated the ending. And then the anime comes out, and then the anime does its ending, and nobody has no issue with the ending of the My Hero Academia anime. This is what I goes to tell you. These people don't know what they want. They don't know what I want. I said this in my live stream of Zenless Zone Zero. People just don't know what they want. So when Ruby was thirsting all over Aqua, and you see that next scene where she's like, oh, come on, brother, and she's all over him and things like that. I know, that's triggering people. And you want to know what? I don't care. I love it. I'm all here for it. I'm here for just the absolute insanity that is Oshinoko. I'm here for all the insaneness because guess what? I signed up for that. I knew the show was going to get insane. But hey, people just can't deal with it and they just can't handle it, and that's too bad. So I found this episode absolutely crazy, absolutely insane. What a great way to end off season 3 heading to season 4, which only is going to make me want more Oshinoko, because now we're getting to the climax of this series, and now we're getting step in, step out, closer to the part where everybody's just like, oh my god, this moment killed the entire series. So I can't wait to see that moment. I really can't wait. Because guess what? When I see this moment that everybody freaking hates, and when I review the episode where that moment comes, and I'm just going to be like, that's the moment people were upset about? Man, you people really need to go outside and go touch some fucking grass. But absolutely crazy. We got an hour-long episode. We got Aqua revealing to Ruby who he really is. The Miyako stuff. How effed up Ruby's mom is. My god. And I'm talking about her actual blood-related mom. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And the fact that we're heading into this play about Ai's backstory and stuff like that. And then obviously Raven Girl is talking about, are you sure you made the right decision, Aqua? And then you cap it off with the fact that Aqua's talking to this girl saying just like, you need to stop. And he's just like, so you want to be a child actor? And she's like, huh? And then you just get your end out to the freaking season. That shit cracked me the fuck up because she was like, huh? Me, an actor? Again, I don't know, bro. For all we know, this Raven Girl could be the fucking devil herself. She could be some sort of deity. Because again, she knows of the reincarnation. She talks about like this wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. Oh, Ai Hoshino? Yeah, she's not reincarnated into another person. So, more than likely, she is some sort of deity overseeing this reincarnation with Aqua and Ruby. I don't know where it's gonna go. I don't know where it's gonna go from that aspect. But look, I'm not. This episode was crazy, man. This episode was crazy. Now I know I missed last week's episode. That episode was obviously a build up for this episode. You had last week end off where Ruby is obviously kind of having like damn panic attacks about her mom and if she loves her. And when she was talking about her mom, she was talking about her actual biological mom, the trauma. So we get this moment, or we get the backstory in this episode in regards to the actual real Ruby and her actual real mom back when she was Sarina, right? So obviously, we find out that her mom is actually in the showbiz, right? We find out like her mom was a very famous ice skater, and she's in the showbiz because you have it to where the director and the producer were at like this club area, and they were just chit chatting and everything, and eventually Aqua has to come pick up his boy, the director, right? And take him home. And this is when he ends up meeting Ruby's biological mom, right? Back from her previous life. And he remembers when she gives her name, he remembers like, wait just a damn minute. And he flashes back to his time as the doctor, right? And we get the flashback, right? Because we call her to Ruby. She's kind of, again, still having these panic attacks and these moments of talking about, does she love me and things like that and stuff like that. And we see, as she's going through her day, regardless, she's still having these things with all these things that are in her schedule and everything. And at the same time, she's having damn near panic attacks with everything as she's trying to learn the script, right? Of the play that they're doing or the movie that they're doing. And we get the backstory. So obviously Ruby, back in her previous life as Sarina, at first she was a healthy girl, but then she ended up coming down with obviously a terminal illness. Now, when she was healthy, her parents loved her, they adored her and everything, right? And then once she had this terminal illness, and she had to go to the hospital, and she was told this to her parents. At first her parents, started to make sure she was okay, right? But then, especially their mom. But then after a while, it just got to the point where it's so overbearing as a mom where she just felt like she couldn't handle it, and she just straight up abandoned Ruby. Now, that is kind of effed up as a parent. Effed up as a parent that you would not be by your child's side because of a terminal illness. And yes, maybe, it's hard to watch your child go through this. A child that you think has a lot of potential and everything and stuff like that. And you just see the fact that your child has a terminal illness, and the stress starts to wear on you because you're worrying, like, are they gonna be okay? Are they gonna be back to normal? And then when you're really told, like, oh no, this is not gonna get any better. The fact that her mom just basically gave up on her to the point, like, it put in Ruby's mind, like, she's gonna show up. She loves me. She loves me. And you get that moment where she does show up and she puts a lie on her fucking face talking about, yes, I love you, honey. And you can clearly tell you don't mean those words. You're just saying that to say that. Because you're just gonna go away and abandon her again. And it's even more effed up how she ended up having a kid. Like, I think they mentioned in the episode, like, a year. I think the deity girl, the lolly girl, made a mention. She had a child. She gave birth to a new child a year after basically Ruby in her previous life died. Which is fucked up, bro. Where's the fucking dad? The dad wasn't gonna say anything and say, hey, we need to go check up on Sarina and make sure she's okay. Like, we know it's not getting better for her, but, like, we gotta be there for her as her parents. And the fact that her parents weren't there for her at all, just an absolute asshole of parents. And you kind of treat like, oh, this daughter was an estranged child that we never had. Like, it was a fucked up backstory. And you see why Ruby's having these panic attacks, these moments. And we see how Ruby actually had the courage to go up to her old house, her front door, but she never had the courage to ring the doorbell. And then she was about to actually do it, But then when she hears the door come out, she walks away. She hears the door open, and then she sneaks over, and she sees that her mom is doing well with 2 other children. And that just makes it just even worse in the situation, when it leads to the moment between her and Aqua. Now, her and Aqua does have a conversation about this and everything. And at first I'm like, is this woman trying to hit on Aqua? Because at first I was thinking like, oh, is this woman like single and everything? And maybe she just trying to prey upon Aqua or something like that. And next thing you know, we're going to get her trying to want to get in Aqua's pants or something like that. But no, she ends up talking about how she has a family and everything. But Aqua remembers who she is, and he is actually showing her no sympathy, because it's like, oh, so you're the fucking girl that abandoned Sarina. Okay, yeah, I know who you are, right? But this then leads to the scene where Ruby is obviously freaking out and having a panic attack and everything, and stuff like that. And remember, in last week's episode, she talked about how she said she wanted to die. And it's like, oh, frick. And in the scene, she's talking about how nothing's been going right for her. Everything around her is just bad. Ai's dead. Her mom doesn't care about her. Sensei's gone. In the meantime, Aqua's hearing all this stuff that she's talking about. And when she says Sensei, that's when he's like, oh, fuck, this is Sarina. Now, we always knew that Aqua and Ruby both knew that they were both reincarnated, right? That they were people this thing. Now, Aqua, I think he always had this impression like, oh, that might actually be Sarina, but there's no shot that is, potentially. Albeit, I do see traits of her Sarina in Ruby. But then when she basically revealed, like, the word Sensei, that's when he got the confirmation. Oh no, this is Sarina. So he tries to go over there, and he actually tries to comfort her. And Ruby's not having any of it. And she's like, get away from me, Aqua. Like, I told you, we're not brother and sister anymore. We're not siblings anymore. I don't care, about you. Like, leave me alone. And then Aqua basically says to tell her to stop it, because he's like telling her, like, you need to stop this. Like, look, you need to take a break from this. You need to stop overworking yourself. And he basically goes far, and he calls out to her name, and he calls her Sarina-chan. And then that's when Ruby's like, just stops right there, and she's like, huh? And she's like, how do you know that name? And she's eventually like, wait. She's like, or actually, Aqua makes a mention how he knew a girl, or he basically lists everything that obviously Sarina wanted to become, and become an idol and everything. Because we actually find out in her previous life, she actually wanted to be like her mom. She wanted to be an ice skater like her mom and everything. But because her mom's absence, it ended up in her seeing Ai and wanting to be like Ai. And Aqua was mentioning all this and everything. And that's when Ruby starts to wake up and realize, like, Sensei, is that you? And Aqua grabs her hand, and he's like, yeah, he basically says yes, but he's like, you said you'd give this to me when you were 16. And now I can finally fulfill this promise now. And I've seen who you become. And this actually hits Ruby really hard. And it's actually a pretty emotional scene, because she starts to break down, and she starts to go into his arms and everything. And she's like, I thought you were dead. I saw your body, and that was it for me. And he talks about how everything we've seen her do since, really realistically the start of season 3, right? We find out, like, she actually regretted doing all this stuff, telling lies and doing all this and everything, because she thought, well, mom lived on lives and everything. I felt like that's what I needed to do. But I know deep down, I didn't want to do this. I didn't like doing this because it wasn't me, and everything. And Aqua's basically saying, like, you don't need to do all this. You need to stop thinking about revenge. You need to stop doing this. This isn't you. You shouldn't be doing this. And he actually does say, like, basically kind of tells her like, let me take this burden on, because my whole thing is I'm trying to get revenge for Ai's sake and everything. And that way he comforts her, and he basically talks about, and he tells her like, listen, I've always viewed you as a better idol than I ever was. And that makes, and I'm telling you, man, that lights, that comment made her day. It lighted her up. And you can see the darkness that was once there, gone. And I'm like, yes, we got sweethearted Ruby back. We got happy Ruby again. And I'm happy about that. Now, I only think that's going to be for a short period of time, because I think Dark Ruby will end up coming back at some point, right? And they have a nice, they have a nice embrace, a nice moment. And that was a great scene. I'm like, so this is the moment he finally revealed it. And I was absolutely shocked about this. And you actually do see Aqua, who is in this position, actually genuinely care, because the doctor of him actually cares. He actually does care and love Sarina. Not in a romantic way. Before you say, oh, you're saying that romantically. No. He loves her in a platonic way, because in a way, he was there with her every single day, making sure she was okay and everything. And to him, that was a light in his day, because he saw the inspiration she had. And to her, that was, or obviously, you get that whole aspect on her side. She fell in love with him and everything, right? So essentially, Ruby obviously accepts that she's going to stop doing what she's been doing now that she knows the truth and everything, and stuff like that. Now we do see Deity Girl. She talking about like, good job, Aqua Hoshino. I'm actually shocked that you revealed all this. Oh, wow. That's going to get her back on track. That's going to get Ruby back on track. But are you sure that was a good idea? And again, one of my predictions is I could perfectly see it where Aqua does die at the end of the show, which would mean, does that make Ruby go back into this dark self when she sees that Aqua did die? And now it's like, okay, since he's never coming back. So it's like, oh, brother. Because she threw that foreshadowing of the fact, like, you sure you made the right decision in doing what you did? Especially trying to make this movie too? Huh. So, obviously that's foreshadowing for season 4. About this decision that Aqua made to tell Ruby who he truly is. And now that they both know the truth about each other, it's like, okay, let's see where this is gonna go, right? And then you get the infamous scene, bro. Aqua's just on the balcony, right? And he's just minding his own business. And you have Ruby in this white ass dress. And you just have that, and she's remembering, right? And then she remembers the moment she's like, oh, yeah, I remember that he's sensei. He made me a promise before. And then he also made this one promise that when I turned 16, he would promise to marry me. And she's like, would you still, and she literally says, and the most insane smile, insane look as she's doing this, pure bliss, pure love. She's like, I'm 16, sensei. And I'm like, oh, I know that Oshi co-haters are somewhere like, fuck, no. And I don't care. I'm all for it. You may call me insanity. You may call me, you're supporting that type of crap stuff. You're disgusting. I don't care. This season's chaos. And you want to know what? I'm all for the chaos. So if they end up by the end of the series together, Aqua and Ruby, I don't care. I don't care. Because I'm here for the chaos. I knew what I was getting myself into. So, whatever. If the I word happens, the I word happens. That's the author's mandate. And you want to know what? I'm all for it. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. As crazy as it sounds, as crazy as it sounds. Now, in real life, I do not condone that shit. Let's get something straight, right? Let's get something straight. In real life, I do not condone a brother and sister serious romantic relationship. That shit is not cool. No, 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 no. Now, in a fictional story, I could care less. I care less. And for people to say that, man, please. The Japanese have multiple animes where they always imply this freaking will they, won't they between a brother and sister. For God's sake, there was a whole ass arc in Sword Art Online where fucking the adoptive sisters, Kirito and Sugua, had a literal crush on Kirito and wanted to get in this man's pants, bro. Do we not remember that? It never happened, but do we not remember that? Like, good God, how many freaking stepsister animes do we gotta see? How many damn stepsister animes that do the will they won't they are the main romances between the brother and or the stepbrother and the stepsister? Yes, they're related by blood, but technically their previous lives, you could say it could supersede that, but whatever. I personally would be here for the chaos, just to see the entire community rot down and say, oh my God, the other went the I word route, which would be absolutely insane, right? Absolutely insane. Crazy to say the least, right? So, of course, because now she knows the truth and now she's in massive love with Aqua now, after being revealed all this. So the next scene, she is like all over. She's like, Oni-chan, she's right there. She's like, come on, give me a sip of your juice. And he's like, no. And then he moved the juice to the side and she's like, oops, sorry. I guess I took a sip. Oh dear, Oni-chan. And in the meanwhile, bro, Mem and freaking Kana are walking out and they're like, what the fuck is going on? And mostly Kana. Kana's like, what the fuck is happening over here? And obviously Ruby's like, oh, Kana, I didn't see you there. Oh, me and Oni-chan made up yesterday. And Kana's like, I thought you were mad at him. And she's like, yo, yes, we were mad, but we talked it out. We hashed our issues out, and now I love my brother again. And I'm just like, yeah, you talked it out all right. You love Aqua again because guess what? You love Aqua because he's your fucking sensei, your doctor that you're in love with, right? And she basically has it to where she's in that Princess Carrie thing where Aqua's just kind of just there reading his book, not minding his own business. And freaking Kana's like, Aqua, come on now. Don't you have to personal space? Don't you think she's being a little bit too close to you? And Aqua's like, I don't really care. Whatever Ruby does, I'm gonna allow her to do. And then Kana's like, oh yeah, that's right. You have a fucking sister complex. That's right. Which, it's fucking hilarious how Kana just comes with that because she's like, oh yeah, that's right. You're very, you got a sister complex. And Mem's taking pictures. She's like, oh, look at that hot brother, hot sister. I'm like, okay, yeah. That's why you see the thumbnail where it's like, so funny stuff right there, right? Now the next stuff was the Miyako stuff, which was kind of sad in her own right. So she is obviously struggling because the producer is like, hey man, look, with everything that's going on, Ruby is not a clear enough good actress to try to carry this. So please take as much stuff off her schedule as she can do so she can focus strictly on trying to do the best she can to act in this movie, right? And you know, Miyako's going through all the stress and everything because she sees how booked Ruby's schedule is, but she knows, like, I gotta take some of the stuff off Ruby's schedule and everything to make it more beneficial for her for this movie and just for her. And she really just doesn't know, like, okay, how can I be there and how can I be caring enough as the adoptive mother, as her stepmom, or realistically her mom, right? But at the same time, as her manager, how can I balance the two? And you just see how she's having a hard time dealing between being the manager, but at the same time being Ruby's actual caretaker, her actual, really right now, the mother in her life, right? Because she doesn't want to overwork her adopted daughter, because she's known this girl since she was a baby, and she doesn't want to push too much on her plate to make her just essentially burn out and fall flat on her face. But at the same time, it's like she's our biggest cash cow. She's making us the most money for our company. And she ends up going to a bar, and all of a sudden you just have it to where her director, or aka her husband, which we find out in this episode, right? Basically had found, walked in at the last moment. We found out this was due to Aqua. Aqua basically sent the dude a text saying, "Hey, go to this bar, bro." And of course Miyako was there mostly because he knew about that, right? And when she saw him, she was like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Oh no." And he tries to run away, but she catches up to him and she's like, "Why? Why are you doing this? Why did you leave me?" And she's talking about, and Miyako's just starting to just cry profusely and saying, "Why did you go back on our promise?" So we get Miyako's flashback. We find out that Miyako was trying to get into the show business herself. She was trying to become, a big celebrity herself, but things just weren't going well for her. And it got to the point where she kind of became one of those, girls that, were in her 18s and 19s who were trying to get a gig to the point like you kind of had to maybe sleep your way to the top, but then you just had it to where these big wigs, like big wigs and typically do when they feel like, well, I can't really get much out of you. They kick you to the curb like it's nothing. And, you just had it to where it seemed like she was going to be going the path of just being a mistress for these dudes just to get essentially what they wanted and doing it. Because you have it where there's one guy, I guess in this club, he's like, "Hey, why don't you become my mistress?" And he's like feeling up her thighs and everything. And you just can see in Miyako's eyes, she's dead inside. Dead inside. And this is at the point where she's kind of just given up on her dream of wanting to do what she was aspiring to doing. But then that's when the dude comes in and is like, "Hey, get your hands off her." And he's like, "Hey, why don't you come with me?" And he basically explains, what his whole goal is to do, and everything. And this is at the time when they're with right? And he explains his goal again. He's like, "I want you to help me achieve this goal and be by my side. And on top of it, I want you to be my wife." And I'm like, "Oh shit." Oh, I'm like, "Damn. Oh, okay." And we find out, like, yes, they're actually married. They're actually a thing. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's dope." And she actually started to enjoy doing the backstage stuff. But then obviously, after the events of Ai's passing and him just disappearing on her like that, it put a lot more pressure on her. So essentially, what we find out is the dude ends up actually joining back up in Strawberry Promotions, but he's kind of like an errand boy now, which is absolutely hilarious. Miyako is punishing her husband for just bailing her. And hey, I don't blame Miyako for it. That is 100% deserved. That dude put her through the stress of running Strawberry Productions all by yourself. And on top of it, too, you just abandon your fucking wife, bro, like that. And you don't give her a reason or a word. But it's crazy that she didn't even asked for a divorce. She's just at the moment where she's like, "Oh, no, I'm not asking a divorce. You're coming back here, mister." So I found that to be absolutely funny, which, and again, like I said, it's funny how they're married, albeit on both their fingers, we don't see a ring on it. So it's, I don't know, maybe it's type of the whole thing. They just indirectly got married and they just said, "Okay, we're married, but we won't need the fucking rings," right? So who cares? And it's funny because Ruby comes up behind the dude, is like, "Oh, I'm glad you're back." And he's like, "Yeah, because of you." And she's, and everything. And Ruby's just like, "Well, hey, at least Miyako's happy again that you're back," and everything and stuff like that. And obviously Ruby talks about, like, if not for you, I wouldn't be this big as big as I am today. So clearly your heart was still in it for Strawberry Productions and stuff like that. So yeah, But you know, they do have a one-on-one thing where the dude does tell Miyako, like, no, you don't want to. Yes, you don't want to overwork Ruby, but at the same time, her popularity is huge. You want to still take advantage of that because guess what? She's very popular. She's very famous, and he actually talks about saying like, no, this is not going to be a one flash in the pan moment. No, Ruby is that special of a talent, right? But it basically tells you like, oh no, Ruby is going to basically potentially be even a more bigger idol, a more bigger superstar than I ever was. And dude can see that in her because not only he's got eyes, she's got her own thing and her own determination. Now he does go on and say like, okay, you just need to be careful. You need to watch out for that one. And Miyako's talking about and thinking he's talking about Ruby, but he's like, no, 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 I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about Aqua. For all we know, he may already be too far gone. Because he already knows, like, Aqua's hell-bent on revenge. And the problem is, if not for this dumbasses dude in that one episode this season, basically revealing to Aqua, like, ha ha ha, you thought, please, you thought you were related to, you thought your dad was dead? Oh, no, 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 he's still alive, buddy. Which, I bet you 9 out of 10 times now, I wish he could go back in time and not say that shit. Because for all we know, maybe Aqua still has these moments and these things and stuff like that. Right? But then again, what do I know? Because he was actually spying. He had a tracker, a listener in on Akane, so he would have still figured it all out, right? That his dad is still alive through Akane. So maybe either or, it would have not mattered. But still, it got them, or maybe at that point, maybe he never put the tracker on Akane, the voice module thing to hear what Akane was saying, until he got that from this dude. But yeah, and then obviously, like I mentioned, you got that scene where Aqua's just talking to the deity girl, and is like, "Why don't you?" I'm like, "Why are you haunting me? Why don't you? If you got anything else better to do, why don't you leave me alone?" And again, Raven Girl is just taunting Aqua, saying, like, "You're trying to accomplish all this and this, but it's only gonna make your path even brutal." And then that's when that's when Aqua's just like, "So, you want to become a child actor?" And she just stands there for a bit. And she's like, "Huh?" Which, that was absolutely hilarious, bro. I was cracking. I was cracking the fuck up. But regardless, this week's episode of Oshi no Ko, or the season 3 finale of Oshi no Ko, was fantastic. I enjoyed it. I was cracking my ass up when I saw that Ruby moment about, "I'm 16, sensei." I'm like, oh, brother, the community's about to lose their ever-loving shit. But this season was great, dude. This is probably the best season out of all the 3 seasons, and I don't know where season 4 is going to go with this play, but it's only going to be enhanced even better. Or this play's only be enhanced, and this whole Ruby X Aqua dynamic is only going to be even further enhanced when the play happens, because Ruby is playing I, and I think it's pretty clear that Aqua is going to be playing the father. So it's like, oh great, now we're going to see their love story, and it's going to be through the eyes of the brother and the sister. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's going to be interesting. But this season was great. I can't wait for season 4. I don't know when season 4 is going to come out. My best guess is it's going to come out either next year in 2027 sometime, or the latest we'll probably get it is 2028. And if they give it to 2028, then that means they're going to want to, they're going to look to knock this out of the park for season 4. And and I bet you the author's going to be like, "Look, I know the people in the West absolutely hate my series, so let's light their freaking eyes on fire and blow them away to the point where even if they don't like the story portion of it, we're going to make it feel like, okay, no, we improved it in some sort of way." So, there's that and everything, but we'll see. We will definitely see where it's going to go and stuff like that. But if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts, hit the subscribe button if you want to get more Oshi no Ko content or any other anime content uploaded to the channel and things like that. And until then, guys, I will catch you guys later. See you guys later. Peace.